Welcome to Team Tigio Court TV, where we upload videos every single day. So make sure you subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and share our videos.
This is the Smith versus Smith.
Oh, I'm sorry. Butler versus Butler was what I was thinking of yesterday. So Smith versus Smith. So you'll raise your right hand. I'm going to go ahead and place it under oath again. So.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Ms. Smith, I'm Doris Salinas. I'm going to ask you a few questions. You were asked yesterday by your attorney on direct if you were concerned about Mr. Smith's willingness to foster a relationship between you and your daughter if your daughter were to live primarily with him. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. He had agreed for you to remain in Alexander City with your daughter, to be near your family after you separated. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And would you agree that that was a pretty big sacrifice for him, to agree to that?
I do think it was a sacrifice, but I also think that it was a sacrifice based off of what I was sacrificing in the divorce as well.
Well, it allowed you to be near your daughter every day, right?
It did, and that's what I
Okay.
value, but it also allowed him to keep the house and those things. That was the agreement that we had in the divorce.
Well, I understand there was a package, there was a package deal. You negotiated property and you negotiated your parenting plan. But my question is he ultimately agreed for you to relocate from Cheatham County to move from, or you had already, I guess, relocated or moved. He agreed for you to stay there and for him to be 4 hours away from your daughter, right?
That's not correct. I had not moved. I was separating from him, and I told him in the shed that day that I wanted him to get help. And so that was the whole reason why we separated.
Well,
and I told him that day that I did not want a divorce.
I didn't ask you any of that, okay? I asked you if ultimately the agreement was that you would be permitted to stay in Alexander City near your parents, and he would be 4 hours away from your daughter. That's what the parenting plan says, right?
I mean, the parenting plan also says the state of Alabama. So
Okay, so the state of Alabama is big, right?
correct.
It's a long state. Takes a long time to get from the north to the south, right?
Sure.
Okay. And you weren't in the southern part of Alabama. You were in the central part, the northern central part of Alabama. That's where your parents live, right?
That's correct.
And that's where you went, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And that's where you ultimately set up house. Is that right?
Yes. After the divorce was settled.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's where you enrolled your daughter in school, right?
Yes.
Okay. And are you going to tell the court that the intent at the time the parenting plan was signed was not that you would be in that general area of Alabama?
I mean,
That's where you lived,
the
right?
parenting plan just states that I was able to relocate to Alabama. So that's just what it states.
Did you live in Alexander City at that point? When you signed the parenting plan, where did you live?
I was living in Alexander City. Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Where did your parents live?
In the same city.
Okay. How long had they lived there?
They've lived there a long time, my whole life.
Your whole life. How old are you?
I am 40 years old.
40?
Mhm.
Okay. So they've lived there 40 years. How long did you live there before you went back?
Like just as a kid,
Yeah. When'd you move from there?
I moved from there when I went to college.
Okay. So 18, 19 years old? All right. That was home to you, right?
Sure.
So is there any reason why Mr. Smith would have presumed that you were going to go anywhere but that area?
I mean, I can't assume what he would think.
Okay. All right. And That was the agreement. And do you agree again that that was a sacrifice to him? That was difficult for him to do.
I mean, I can't assume what
Okay,
happened. I just know
right.
that
But it allowed you,
Well, please let her finish her answer before you ask the next question.
yes, sir. Go ahead.
um I just think that it's important to know that I do think that there was a sacrifice. However, I sacrificed all of the monetary things in order to have time with my child. And that's why we didn't go to court, because we settled outside of court.
I understand that. I understand that. But that promoted a relationship between you and your daughter, didn't it?
It did, because I
It,
fought for that.
it showed that he was willing to sacrifice so that occurred, right?
It showed that he was willing to sacrifice so that he can get the monetary.
Okay.
But
So your answer is no, is that right?
I do think that it obviously was a sacrifice that I benefited from, but I also think I sacrificed things because of what mattered to me.
Okay. Well, I didn't ask you anything about the house. I didn't ask you anything about finances. I just asked you if you believed that that was a sacrifice by your then husband at that point in time to allow you and Emma to remain together primarily. And that's just a yes or no. Do you believe it was a sacrifice or not? Do you think it was difficult for him to do that?
I mean,
And
again,
if you don't, that's
I'm
fine.
thinking about what he thinks, right? So it would have been a sacrifice for me, 1,000%.
Okay. All right. And is it your testimony that you don't believe that he'll continue to make those sacrifices to make sure that Emma continues to have a relationship with you?
I'm concerned about that.
Okay. All right. There was something that you said when, I think it was one of the first questions your attorney asked you, and it caught my ear because it was a bit unusual. She asked you where you lived and you gave an address. What's
Right.
that address?
It is 23481 Swift Road.
I'm sorry, what is it?
23481 Swift Road.
Okay. And do you remember what you told her when she asked you where you lived or what your address was? Do you remember what you said? You said where we're staying.
Right.
Okay. And so tell me what staying means.
Well, obviously we were, staying in Alexander City. We were living in Alexander City due to the fact that we were finishing out her school year. And it's my understanding during the summer with no school obligations, that you can visit places. And I thought it would bring value to Emma's life to visit her family in Alberta, and it's not hindered her father's parenting time. I have driven all the way to the meeting spot each time. And I've told Emma that, we're vacationing here, and I just have kind of left it open ended because I mean, I've tried to protect her from what's going on, and I think he has as well. But, you know,
So right now you're just visiting at the location where you provided notice of your intent to relocate to? Is that
mean,
right?
I don't think legally I can move.
Well, let's talk about your residence. Was it on Nathan Street in
Yes.
Alexander City?
That's correct.
All right. Did you rent that or did you own that?
I was just taking care of it. My parents moved in with my Nana to take care of her, so they were living in her house.
That's your parents'
Okay,
residence,
so we were living there at their home.
you and Emma?
Yes.
Okay. How long have they been out of the home?
They moved out in January of, not this past January, but the January before.
So January 2024.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So a year and a half essentially. Are you using their furniture or do you have your own furniture?
We just kept it the way they didn't want us to. They wanted it to stay the same.
Okay.
So,
All right. Where are your clothes?
what?
Where are your clothes right now? Are they there or are they in Alberta?
They're where we would need them.
Which
So-
is where?
Which is in Alberta.
So your clothing, okay, is on the 2348, at the 23481 Swift Road address. All right. Where are Emma's toys?
There's some that are there, like I just asked her which ones she would want, like during that time, and so there's some there, then there's some still at 282.
Okay. What about your personal things, your hygiene things, and just your personal things? Where are they at?
I mean, I just took them like I would if I was on vacation.
In a suitcase?
Yeah, that's how.
Did you take boxes?
Yeah, I took some boxes.
Okay. How many boxes did you take?
I
Do
don't know.
you have a storage unit?
No,
No, no storage unit?
no.
Okay. Who rents the house at 23481 Swift Road? Or is that, does your husband own it?
No, he rents it.
He rents it.
Yes.
Okay. And so is the lease in his name?
We don't have a lease. It's just through a friend.
Okay. How long has he lived there?
He's lived there, I think, since January of last year.
January of 2024?
I think it might be February. I can't remember the exact date.
Where did Emma go to school last year?
At Jim Pearson. Elementary.
Jim Pearson?
Mhm.
And has she been unenrolled from Jim Pearson?
I did unenroll her, yes.
You unenrolled her.
Mhm.
Why would you unenroll her at this point in time when you don't know whether or not the court's going to order that you stay? And
I had a conversation with the lady who, I mean, I knew, and I just said we might be back, but I just knew that I was there. I mean, I was, still working there. And so I know that during the summer it's weird hours, and I knew that this could probably be prolonged. And so if we were to move to Alberta and we were to be given that, then I knew that it would need to be quick, like we would to get her enrolled at her new school.
so if this matter got continued, you were just going to enroll her in Alberta school, the schools in Alberta?
Absolutely not. I would do whatever.
Well, I thought you were saying that you unenrolled her because you knew that this could get prolonged.
What I was saying is if it got prolonged, then my thinking is if it got prolonged, then we would just have to go back to Alexander City, which is obviously, not what I would want. But I just meant that we might have to, like right now, like I'm thinking about right now and the fact that it's July. And so as soon as I get back, whatever is decided today, I feel like the next step for either one of us is going to be enrollment, because it's just a time crunch at this point.
Okay, so she's been unenrolled. Has she been enrolled in any school?
No.
All right. You also testified that the girls, your husband's 3 girls and your daughter, that they have their own room and they share 2 bathrooms.
Yes.
Is Emma's room, is it set up?
Yeah.
What's in Emma's room?
I mean, I just wanted her to feel comfortable. She's got a bed. She's got toys. She's got pictures of her daddy. She's got books.
Was that room set up or did you set that room up?
I mean, it already had a bed in it.
Okay.
We were just trying to make sure that she was comfortable and that she felt comfortable there.
Well, it's a little more than just spending a few weeks, right? You've said it. You've set up housekeeping. Is that correct?
I set things up so that she could feel comfortable there, but fully knowing that I do not know the outcome of this, and whatever is decided today, I will abide by.
You knew that when you went to Alabama, that part of why Mr. Smith felt comfortable to some extent with that was that your parents were going to be close to Emma. Is that true?
Again, am I speculating on what he thought?
Well, your parents, you lived with your parents, right? Up until a year ago
Okay,
or a year and a half ago. Is that right?
that is correct. Yes,
Okay. Are your parents close to your daughter?
absolutely.
All right. And they got to see her every day. Is that right?
When we were all living together, yes.
So that's a yes. Okay. And you were living together from the date of the divorce, which was in May of 23, to January of 24, right?
It was long because of the separation,
First, okay, okay. How long had you lived there prior to the divorce becoming final?
but January 2023 is when I moved
Okay,
there.
so a year, a full year. And so they saw her every day.
Mhm.
And where's your grandmother's house?
It's like 15 minutes away,
How far?
15 minutes.
15. All right. And then she still got to see them on a regular basis after they moved, right?
Sure.
Okay. And now they're about 200 miles away. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. And what about a 3-hour drive almost, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's like 3 and some odd.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. And it sounds like that's an easy trip to make, but things happen. Time kind of gets in our way sometimes. Would you agree with that?
I mean, I just know my mom and I know Emma, and like nothing can separate them. It didn't separate them when we were living in Tennessee. It will not do the same.
Sure. Do you think there's value though in children seeing extended family, even if it's for short spurts, consistently and often versus less and maybe for a little, a little longer period? You think there's benefits to that consistency?
Sure.
Sure. And she's not going to have that now, is she?
Um, I think that she's still gonna have consistent time with her grandparents, but I also, just talking to Emma, she loves her uncle and aunt, and has told me like she doesn't get to see them often. So, and there's other people in his family that he just doesn't get to see, she
Yeah.
doesn't, she's voiced that
And,
she would like more time with them.
and I appreciate you bringing that up, but that's not what I was asking you about. I was
I just think it's
asking
important to know.
if you'll
both
let me
sides.
finish my question, okay? All right. You think it's important for what? I'll let you finish your answer.
I just I think it's important for both sides. to be-
Sure, sure. Okay. You knew when you made the decision to ask to relocate, you knew it might be problematic, right?
Yes.
Did you tell Mr. Smith that he'd just have to deal with it? Do you
No.
remember that
I
conversation?
do remember that conversation.
Did you tell him you just have to deal with it?
I did not tell him that.
All right. How'd you meet your husband?
I met him online.
Online?
Mhm.
How online?
He was a Christian dating.
A dating site?
Yes.
I ask you to speak up a little bit.
Yes. I'm sorry.
When did you first come across him on the dating site?
We first started talking in July
July of what year?
it was last year,
Well, was it a year ago or was it
2024. Yes.
July of 2024?
Yes.
Okay. And so you started talking. Where did he live when you started talking?
He lived in Robertsdale.
Where?
Robertsdale.
Robertsdale. Where is Robertsdale?
It's really close to, it's in the Baldwin County area.
Okay. And who did he live with?
He lived with his oldest and his youngest 50% of the time. His youngest girl was 50% of the time. His oldest was full time.
Now, when you say oldest, do you mean oldest two or oldest one?
Oldest girl, just the
Just one
oldest.
girl.
Yes.
Okay. And when did he move from Robertsdale?
In January when he moved into the house.
January of this year?
Yes.
Do you know why he moved?
Yes.
Why?
He was just trying to make sure everybody had a room,
Who's everybody?
um, just hit all of his girls. And I mean, and in January, we were already married. So we were just hoping that we would need room.
January of 2025. When did you get married?
In November.
November of 24.
Yes.
All right. So you started talking on a dating site in July of 2024, August, September, October. When in November did you get married?
It was Veterans Day weekend.
Okay. So less than 4 months later, you were married?
That's true.
And I believe you testified yesterday that you had just introduced Emma to your husband in September. Is that right?
Right, so that was,
So you had known him 2 months?
yesterday I said it was either September or October because I cannot remember. But
But still, you didn't know him very long. Would that be accurate?
I mean, we were spending a lot of time getting to know one another, like talking on the phone, and we had set up a really good, like, spiritual foundation. And just I had peace about just my time with him, and I still do.
Were you commuting back and forth to date?
Um, we were commuting back and forth, but the whole beginning of our relationship is we were just talking and getting to know one another. And then, yes, we eventually did start commuting back and forth to date. Yes.
So you met online in July. When did you start commuting back and forth?
We had our first date, on my birthday, July 28th.
So the end of July. All right. And so were you married like November, the end of November, right?
November 10th.
November 10th. Okay, the beginning of November. So you'd agree, it's a pretty short time.
I agree.
Okay. So in January, he found this place and you said it's a friend's house?
It was just someone that he knew, and like he was willing to let us rent it.
What's the rent?
It is $1,700 a month.
Did you pay rent at your parents' house?
I just took care of all the bills and the upkeep.
Okay. Are the utilities in your name?
They're not my name. I just
Okay.
paid my dad's.
Okay. Where's your husband from?
He's from Ohio.
When did he move to Alabama? About.
But he used to be military, so
He what? I'm sorry.
he used to be military, so
Okay.
he moved around a lot.
You know how long he's lived in Alabama?
I would guess, like I would guess probably, because I know he's been there probably like at least 3 years, but
Okay. So relatively speaking, not very long.
right. But I mean, but he has his youngest and he has 50-50. And so like we're very much submitted, or he is like rooted there because of his daughter.
Well,
Because-
why weren't, and I understand that, I respect that, but why weren't you rooted? Why weren't you very much rooted in Alexander City because of your daughter?
we had been living long distance for a while and we had been making it work.
You and your
every-
husband? You've been living long distance 3 months.
I'm talking about me and this father. We had been living long distance and we had had a parenting plan and it had been working and there was no arguments about it until the day I told him I was getting married.
Well, but you were 4 hours away, right?
I get that, but I'm just saying we had been living long distance. So
But my question is, why were you not rooted to Alexander City for your daughter so she could be 4 hours away from her father and not 8 hours away? You just said your husband's rooted where he's at because of his daughter.
well, their parenting plan is 2 on and then 1. Their parenting plan, he gets her Mondays and Tuesdays. He does not have her Wednesdays. And then Thursday through Sunday is alternating. So like I mean, it's not a long distance plan, correct? So I knew that I could still make our plan work and I have my like, look at the past ever since January. I mean, we've been, I've been making sure that like she gets to her dad and I'm not late. It's consistent.
Well, where have you been living since January?
We've been living in Alexander City until May 23rd. And then this summer we have been staying,
Been vacationing.
right,
with your
vacationing,
husband.
visiting,
Mhm,
because I thought that there was value for Emma in that.
mhm.
We could have stayed at 282, but I thought that it would be important for her to build those relationships.
Your husband could have asked to relocate. to where you lived, couldn't he have?
I mean, he's a pastor, he's a coach, and,
Let's talk about that.
okay.
How long has he been a pastor?
On and off for, I don't know, years.
For how long? He's your husband. You talked a lot,
Right,
right? A lot online.
right.
How long has he been a pastor?
Well, at this church, he's been a pastor for 1 year. And then,
For 1 year?
yes, that's correct.
Where was he a pastor before?
He was just where he was stationed. He was stationed in Louisiana. He's not in the military any longer.
When did he get out of the military?
If I had to guess, I would say about 3 years ago.
Well, do you know things about your husband or not?
I know the important things.
Okay. So you think he got out of the military about 3 years ago?
Right.
How long had he been in the military?
He's been in the military for a while.
How long?
He was almost able to retire, but he couldn't retire. He felt called to get out of the military, and it was just with a few years left.
So had he been in the military 10 years, 15 years, 18 years? Was he a year short of 20? You don't know?
I think it was 19 years.
1 year to retirement.
I think so. But I'm again, I don't have all of that information in front of me.
Sure.
So,
Did he leave in good standing from the
Mhm.
military?
Mhm.
Okay. So where did he go to seminary school? Is he an ordained minister?
He got his, is it MA? Is that right?
I don't know.
He got his master's of,
Divinity?
yes, thank you, yes.
Okay. And so what church does he pastor now?
He pastors at Heritage Church.
Heritage?
Mhm.
Okay. How large is the congregation?
It's a small little country church.
About how many people?
I would say probably again, this is a guess.
Sure.
Just, it could be anywhere from 100 to 150.
Okay. All right. And you said prior to Heritage Church, he was pastoring through the military?
Yeah, just he was a pastor in Louisiana, which is where he was stationed.
At a church?
Mhm.
Okay. How old's your husband?
He is 39.
Okay. Is he in the reserves at all or anything like that? Okay. Any chance I guess he probably can't go back into the military.
He
Is that
could,
right?
but he's not interested.
Okay. All right. And you said, so I'm assuming, is he the main pastor?
Yes.
Okay. So he's busy.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's pastoring on Sunday, he's going to the hospital, he's doing all the things that pastors do. And then he's also a wrestling coach, you said?
Yes,
Okay. What's his schedule with wrestling?
it's involved.
Okay. Is he home? Is he away from home 2 or 3 nights a week?
For wrestling.
Yes.
So during wrestling season, I would say, he's away, he would probably get home at 5 or possibly 6 on
Okay.
those evenings.
All right. And then he's a school teacher.
Right.
Okay. Does he have a degree in education?
He's working on that right now. He has they're in the process of, getting a certificate because he has his master, so they want him on there. So he's working on getting his certification and, he should be done with that this year.
Okay. How many children does your husband have in total?
He has 3.
3.
Mhm.
Okay. And so I'm assuming because of the age difference, you have 2 that are teenagers and 1 that are 3. Do they have different mothers?
Yes.
Okay. And when did he become a pastor?
I'm not sure when he became a pastor. I just know that it's been something that he has been called to and he's done throughout his life.
Was he married to the youngest mother?
Yes, and they're adopted.
The youngest is
No,
adopted?
sorry, the oldest are adopted.
Okay.
The
Was he
young-
married to the children's youngest, the
Yes.
youngest child Was he and the mother married?
Yes.
Okay, is the youngest his biological daughter?
Yes.
Okay. And when did they divorce?
They divorced when she was a baby due to abuse.
She abused him?
Yes.
Okay. And so was he a pastor at that point in time
Yes.
in Louisiana?
I can't remember if, I mean, I know that, I think they were stationed in Louisiana. To be honest, I'm not quite sure exactly, but I just know that he was still like preaching at different churches when they were married. So yes,
How long had they been married?
they weren't married very long.
And so they divorced when this little girl was a baby.
Right.
And he alleged that she abused him and she has 50-50 custody of the child.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And you said they do like a 2-2-3 schedule or something similar?
The schedule is what I said earlier, just that he has on Mondays and Tuesdays. He doesn't have a Wednesday, and then every Thursday through Sunday, it's alternating.
Okay. And how close do they live with one another
They
or
live-
from one another?
they live like 30 to 45 minutes.
And that child's driving that much in the car every couple of days? Okay. And does he pay child support to the mother?
Yes,
How much does he pay?
it's like 300.
What does your husband earn as a pastor?
He earns $2,000.
2,000 a month? Is
Yes,
that salary?
and just gets $2,000 a month.
Okay. Do you know what he earns as a wrestling coach?
I mean, I think last year it's like $2,000 for 1 month, and then I think the other month was like $3,000 maybe.
Is it 5,000 in 1 year?
Maybe.
Okay. And then what's his teaching salary?
I just remember that it was like somewhere around 3,000 a month.
Do you think that's after taxes?
Oh, no, that's like what he brings in, like the month,
The net?
like what we get.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the wrestling ends up being what, maybe 5,000 a month, not quite, for something, and then his other between pastoring and teaching.
It's not 5,000 a month though.
No,
It's 5,000 a
I'm sorry,
year.
500 a month. Okay. So yearly, he's maybe netting 24, less than 60,000. Would that be accurate?
No.
Okay. What's he earning?
Because
Because you want to stay at home, right?
right. He also has military money
Okay.
that he gets.
Okay. But it's not retirement.
No, it's
Disability?
VA.
Does he get disability?
Yes.
Has he been diagnosed with PTSD?
No.
No. Why? What's his disability?
He can't hear like completely out of one ear.
Okay. What's his disability payment from the military?
I mean, he also just gets VA, right? Like, is that
I mean, I
disability?
don't know. I'm
I
asking you
just know it's VA.
because you're wanting to stay home.
Right.
You're going to be relying on his income, right? And I understand that Mr. Smith pays you child support and you're hoping that continues, but these kids need to be supported, including Emma, right?
Sure.
Okay. And you don't know how much VA he gets?
Oh, no, I do. It's, I think it's the ballpark of 4,000. a month.
4,000 a month.
Yes.
Okay. And it's just for his hearing. It's not for anything else.
I mean, unless it's just like, I don't know how retirement works, right? So like, I don't know. I don't think he was able to get retirement, but it's VA. And I know that he has like no hearing in one ear and hearing loss in the other, and that's why.
Okay. What's the 3-year-old's mother's name?
Whitney,
Whitney?
yes.
What's her last name?
Right, I don't.
This is the ex-wife.
It is, Your Honor. Well, Your Honor, she's alleging that she abused her husband, I think it could be relevant to know who this lady is. I'm going to ask her a little bit about how involved she is in the child's life. This child's going to
Is
be
this the
around
mother of
the 3-year-old,
older children or
No,
the
younger.
3-year-old?
the 3-year-old.
Well,
Your Honor, it's not that important. I'll withdraw the
I don't
question.
see how it's relevant in
Okay.
this particular situation when, so I sustain the objection.
All right. And then do the older children visit with their mom?
Yes.
How often do they visit?
They visit this year. She's come down like a weekend here and there. And then, they're gonna be going to see her for 2 weeks in the summer.
Where does she live?
She lives in, Pensacola. No, not Pensacola. She lives in Tampa. She just moved. She was living in Ohio.
Okay. So she lives a few hours away.
I mean, Tampa's not a few hours, but
Okay. All right. And your husband's willing to support you without you working, is that right?
yes,
Now, but if something were to happen and the marriage didn't work out, you'd be in a position of having to support yourself likely, right?
I mean, that's not the goal, but yes, correct.
You have a master's degree?
Yes,
All right. Now, you've mentioned Fairhope. That was not included in your notice of your intent, was it?
correct. It wasn't included because it's my understanding that you have to give, notice of a certain amount of days. So I was notifying him of the move that we were going to be making, and the move that we're making is to Alberta, that address.
Okay. And then are you wanting to move again to Fairhope?
Well, and I mean, I looked at it and the Fairhope house it's closer to him and like distance wise. And like nothing would change with,
That wasn't my
it's good.
question. My question is, are you wanting to move to Fairhope, Alabama from the Swift Road
it's
address?
still in the same area.
But you're wanting to move?
Correct. To the
Okay.
house that we're working on. Yes.
Okay. What, you say you're working on it. What are you doing to it?
So like, I mean, we're like, right now, like they just put stairs in and
Is it new construction?
it's not new construction, no.
Okay. Are you,
It's,
are
like-
you remodeling?
yes,
Okay. And when will it be ready?
we don't know. That's when we're renting.
Okay. Different school district from where you're at right now?
No, because he works in Robertsville, so that's where she'll be going.
Regardless of whether you live in Alberta or Fairhope.
Right, correct,
So she'll be going to school where your husband's working.
correct,
You said he's a high school teacher.
correct, but, it's still on the same.
Sure, I understand. Okay, when do you think you'll be moving?
To Fairhope,
Yes.
I mean, we don't know yet. I mean,
A month, 3 months, 6 months, any
I mean,
idea?
I think the goal would be like, probably like 4,
4 months? All right, so in the middle of the school year.
right?
Okay. How long has Emma been living in the homes? Has it been since May with your husband and his children?
May 23rd, that was the last day of school, and then I think it was just the week after school was dismissed.
Okay. And how'd you get your things to Alberta?
Just took a load. I mean, he helped, take.
Back
me
up a
down.
truck,
No,
trailer?
no, it was just our vehicles.
Okay. And so your daughter's been there for 6 weeks or so?
I have to do the math.
Okay, 6 or 7, right?
I mean, it's since May 23rd, but that week
Okay.
afterwards.
Well, June, half of July, a little bit of May. Okay, So it's not like she's been, I mean, the reality is she's not been living in the home with these children for the last 2 years, right? Or your husband, right? You
Correct.
all are just starting out.
We started out like back in November, but not living together, but building relationships.
Okay, but living together, blending your families in the end of May.
I mean, I would say that blending our family started, when we got married, we made efforts to do that, but definitely it's been way more beneficial this summer.
Okay. Why the move to the house in Fairhope? Is it closer to where your husband works, or what's the benefit of moving again?
He owns it and he's going to be remodeling it we've been remodeling it to make sure that it just accommodates all of, and that way we're not renting.
It's the house that he owns.
Yes.
Okay. Regardless of what the court does with this case, your daughter's going to a school that's new to her in the fall. Is that accurate?
I don't know if that's regardless, just because, he said yesterday he could decide to keep me in Alexander City, so then
Well, that's true. That's true. But if the judge allows you to relocate or to stay where you're at, or brings her back to Pleasant View, she's going to a new school either way in those two scenarios,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Was someone living in the house at Fairhope when you gave your notice of relocation?
The house at Fairhope?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay. Why didn't you just provide notice that you were going to move to that house if that was the intent?
To Fairhope?
Yes.
If I felt like that wouldn't have been honest, because we weren't moving, and I just felt like he had a right to know where she would actually be staying.
Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about your education. You want the court to impute minimum wage on you as income rather than what you were earning just 2 months ago. Is that true? You didn't get laid off, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. You could have continued to work in Alexander City earning about $60,000 a year. Is that right?
If I'd say no, it's Alexander City.
You could have, right?
Mhm.
And you could look for work where you're at right now, couldn't you? I mean, is there any reason why you couldn't work?
I just think that there's value in
Sure.
being a stay-at-home mom for Emma.
And I don't disagree, but you're wanting Mr. Smith to pay more support, which he would have to do if Emma stays with you, if you choose not to work and the court imputes you at minimum wage. Do you think that's fair?
I mean,
And that's just a yes or no question. Do you think that's fair?
can I answer fully?
Well, I'd like for you to first answer yes or no, and then you can explain.
Okay. I do not think that's fair.
Okay.
And that's why I have repeatedly offered when we first talked, and I was telling him that I was getting married, and that I told him that our location of drop off did not have to change. I told him that the child support did not have to change. I told him, because I was doing everything to protect his time with Emma, and I told him, I'm getting married and that shouldn't affect you. And so I said, I will continue doing all the things that we've been doing. And I was willing to rearrange my entire life to make sure that that was the case. And I've gone out of my way to try to help him, and to try to, to give him, that ability for his child support not to change. And here we are, we're at court. And so now, I'm just trying to ask for the things that I feel like are fair, since we've had to go through this process, and it didn't have to be this way.
Well, it could have been your way, right?
What do you mean by that?
It could have been your way. You could have, I mean, because let me back up and say, you say nothing has to change, but that's not true, is it? You're
is.
now, let me finish and then you
Okay.
can answer. You're now 4 more hours away, right?
That's correct.
And it changes at least for Emma, even if you keep everything the same. It changes for Emma, doesn't it?
Mhm.
And that should be important, shouldn't it?
It has been actually.
Well, 4 more hours in the car, okay? You may be willing to do it, but that's a big deal. And so it sounds like now because he didn't just say, okay, you're wanting the court to impute you at minimum wage so your support can increase. There's no reason why you're perfectly capable of going out and getting a job. Is that true?
That is true.
Okay. And then let's talk about nothing changing. Your meeting time is 6 p.m. on Friday, right?
Correct.
You meet in Priceville, Alabama.
Correct.
How are you going to get Emma to Priceville, Alabama at 6 p.m. on Friday?
I mean, before court began, I had, my husband, he went and talked to the elementary school and he was just asking, about our plan and about making sure that we got her there at 6 o'clock. And so they said that, every other Friday, as long as we had the parenting plan, she would be able to do that.
What time would she have to leave school?
1:30, I think.
1:30. And how do you think that's going to fly when she gets to be in the 5th and 6th grade? Or the 7th and 8th grade, or the 9th grade?
I'm not sure. I was
Just-
just trying to think about how to keep it
Mhm.
as similar as possible.
And then how late is she going to get home on Sunday night before she has to go to school on Monday morning?
Well, we meet at 1, so be probably like
8 or
6,
9?
6 or 7. I'm forgetting how far it is.
Well, I don't know how far it is from Priceville. So right now you're driving what, 2.5 hours to Priceville? Well, you were driving from Alexander City.
Right.
So things do change even if they stay the same, don't they? And how is Mr. Smith going to get to go to a dance with Emma at the school or an awards program without significantly more effort? That changes, doesn't it?
It does change.
And those are going to be more prevalent the older Emma gets, aren't they?
Probably, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, she might want to play ball or
Right.
dance or,
Yeah.
do those types of things.
It's
And you don't have any extended family in the Alberta, Florida area, Alabama area, do you?
just Emma's stepdad and her sisters.
Who's stepdad?
Emma's stepdad.
Emma's step up. Okay. But I mean extended, like
I mean,
aunts, uncles, grandparents,
She has
cousins.
She has family there, but yeah, I mean, her extended family would be
In Alexander City
right. willing to
and
come
Pleasant
down.
View, Tennessee. Okay. You had mentioned that your daughter sees her doctor 2 times a year, I think you said. Okay. And that doctor is in Birmingham. Is that right?
Right, yes.
Okay. And so she's either traveling to Birmingham or you're developing a new relationship with a new doctor if she stays with you, right? Okay. How long did you live in Pleasant View?
We lived in Pleasant View for duration, Yes, 7 years.
7 years. So, I mean, you're pretty familiar with Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, right?
Okay.
Probably one of the best in the nation. Would
That's
you
where she
agree?
went. Yeah, so she went before.
Okay, is that where she was diagnosed?
Children.
Okay. And then there's Centennial Children's Hospital, right? Both very reputable hospitals. So if she were to come back to Pleasant View, she'd have those resources available to her. Wouldn't you agree?
Sure.
And regardless of where she lives, she's going to have to get a new pediatrician, isn't she? Yeah. Have you done that yet? No. Okay. And how long did you say that Emma had been in remission? I believe that's what you testified to. She's had a pretty good period
Yeah.
of remission. Is that right? And so I wasn't clear if you were now agreeable to her flying, or that's something that you feel more comfortable with if if she travels by air between the two of you.
I mean, I think air travel is tricky. But I do feel more agreeable just because,
And I think you said she feels more comfortable.
right after she talked with her dad, like then she said she wanted to. I just, I mean, I wonder about like the scheduling. I wonder about like connecting flights. Like, I'm not comfortable with that. You know, there's just a lot of like details, and what she's used to is she's used to always traveling with me and her dad in the vehicles. And
Sure.
I just wanted to keep it the same, just for her benefit.
So how far will your home be in Alberta or Fairhope from Pensacola Airport?
I mean, and just
I mean, have you looked?
no, but there's also one in Gulf Shores, so
Okay.
that people are talking about. So that's even closer. So
All right, but let's say Pensacola, right?
just
now,
don't know
because
how far
Southwest
away.
flies to Pensacola.
okay,
It may fly to Gulf Shores. Have you looked at flights?
I haven't yet.
You haven't bothered to look?
I mean, we looked like a while ago, and the only thing we could find were just connecting flights, and so I just didn't know how that would work.
Pensacola's not far, right?
I think it's pretty close here.
Okay, all right. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
No.
Yeah, you're home.
Sure. Yes, I have. Okay. It leaves at 5:30 PM. 7 o'clock PM. 6:45 PM. 8:15 PM. $215. Yes, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about, regardless of where Emma resides, whether it's with her father or whether it's with you. Let's talk about what schedule you think would be reasonable. Okay. You're asking the court to adopt your parenting plan, right? Okay. Let's proposing that you be the primary parent,
Correct.
and you would agree right now, you and Mr. Smith are designated as joint primary. Is that right? In your current plan?
I did not know that. We found that out yesterday. I think attorneys and the such were surprised. Yes, I see it.
All right. Make sure I have the right date. Earlier one. Okay. So you're proposing that you be the primary and that he have 85 days per year. Is that right? So that would give you 280 days.
Right.
Okay. And then essentially what you're proposing, and I'm going to paraphrase some, is that in January, that in odd years, he have from Friday after school until Monday, which would be you're designating Martin Luther King Day at 1 p.m. and that be in odd years. And then in even years, whatever he might get in the Christmas break would be his January time. Is that right?
Because of what the judge asked me yesterday, I feel like,
You want to change this?
well, I just want to have something because I feel like you're asking me if this is what I want.
Okay.
And I don't know, like that's been something that I've been thinking about and
Okay. What would you like to change after thinking about it?
the reason why like I made this the way that it was is because we all heard words from Mr. Smith yesterday, but I've experienced him and how much time he wants, how much time he's willing to take over the past 3 years. And so when I made this plan, I made it knowing that. And, so, it was asked of me yesterday if he was made the primary person, would I want to take this plan? No, because I want as much time possible.
Sure.
And that I've offered extra time and it's not been taken. The summers, I thought 4 weeks, like, oh golly, like, I don't know if he's gonna be able to work that out with his schedule, but I still put it in the plan, even though he's not taken the 2 weeks that have been afforded him. So that's why I proposed this plan. It wasn't because I'm trying to take time away. It is because I've had 3 years experience or 3-ish years, now 3 summers at least. And does he take his weekends? Absolutely, he takes his weekends. Does Emma enjoy her time with him? Absolutely, she does. But when I offer time, it's not taken. And so that's why I have brought this before. Do I think it's fair? I would not want this because I will be a stay-at-home mom just so that I can visit and, whatever time's allowed to me. So that's why this plan looks the way it does, because I've offered time in the summer and it's not been taken. And that's why it looks the way that
Well,
it does.
and you heard Mr. Smith dispute that he hadn't taken his time. He testified that he had taken it a little differently, that he had taken some Thursdays to make up for some time that he couldn't take. But you understand, it's a bit different when you have a child with you and you know the schedule and you make arrangements, right? And you have the ability to do that in advance, not to just do it when like, hey, it might be Wednesday. Can you take Monday? I mean, sometimes things have to be made in advance.
I almost always ask him in advance.
So I'm going to ask you, what are you proposing today as far as a plan that you're asking the court to adopt? So how does that look differently than this?
I've struggled with that.
Because, and I want to say this, you testified yesterday that you want to be a stay-at-home mom so you can go on field trips, so you can go to the classroom, so you can do those things. Can you imagine how Mr. Smith feels? He wants to do those things too. And he could have over the years. Wouldn't have been easy, but he could have. If she moves to Alberta, it's going to be difficult. So what are you proposing?
I'm not trying to take his time away. I've tried to actively protect his time. I obviously want as much time as I can, just as he wants as much time as he can. I proposed this plan because I thought with our history, with his availability, I thought that this would be the most. Am I willing to give him every holiday? Am I willing to give him 6 weeks in the summer? That means that I can have her during the year and she can experience, and I can support that. I mean, I'm willing to do that.
So again, what does that look like?
I mean, I just think that I'll just.
So whatever the court does today, is it your position that the other parent should get 6 weeks in the summer?
If that's what the court agrees on, absolutely.
Well, I'm asking you what you believe. What are you proposing?
I just want what's best for Emma.
Okay.
And
All
if
right.
that's, and she loves time with her dad. I mean, so.
Okay. That's all, Judge.
How did you want to redirect?
Have you done research into the unaccompanied minor policy?
I
You
mean,
don't-
we looked at it very.
Do you recall the cost? Does
No.
$150 per flight sound right for Southwest policy?
Something like that.
So you would add that on to the flight cost.
Correct.
So when you propose this plan, for example, and I'll just, because we only got to January, but Dad would have her the second half, so she'd probably be coming back around January 3rd through the 5th. Is that fair? That's when school break ends, around for Christmas break.
Right. Usually.
And so then she would go out and either fly or drive MLK Day, which is around the 19th of the month. Is that
Okay.
fair? So you also were taking into consideration frequency of travel. Is that fair? To not put her on a plane every other weekend, but
Yeah, I mean, if I, like, one thing that I definitely would propose, no matter who is the primary person, is that, one weekend, that person travels to her so that it just takes away her travel. And if that's.
but the weekends in here are the ones you propose that you're willing to travel for. Is that correct? And then he can have an extra weekend
Right, absolutely.
in Alabama if he
Yes.
wanted to.
Absolutely.
And I just, again, school events, historically, how many school events has he been invited to last year?
I mean, he's been invited to any that I thought, like dances, Dads for Donuts, VIP, award ceremonies, a Heritage Day. I told him about field trips, Field Day. I'm trying to look if there's any.
So would you say more than 10 events have been offered to him?
So.
And he's come to one this last school year.
The last school year, he was gonna come to the awards day, but he forgot to set his alarm, is what he told me. And so he missed the awards day, but he did come all the way to pick her up just because she was expecting him to come. He wanted to come to the VIP dance, but he had had surgery, so he couldn't. So I don't know if. I can't really.
He testified yesterday that he went to one event out of the whole school year. So, I mean, I guess historically, do you think he's had the option to come at this point for the last 2 school years and really hasn't exercised that?
I mean, like the year before he came to a VIP dance. And then he came to the awards day. in
So
kindergarten.
2.
We went to 2 events the year before.
And he's off every Friday, you heard that? So he could take this Pensacola flight himself and visit.
Right.
And you think that would take some of the burden off of your daughter?
Right.
And he's a single man and he has income to do that.
I mean, and it also like he could arrange his flight to where he could get here like when school's out, and he could just pick her up from school and like have her a lot, a longer amount of time as well.
So it's not this is something you have thought about.
Absolutely.
And you're willing to budge on the summer if that is 6 weeks is, currently he has by agreement 2 weeks in the summer.
Right.
So 6 would be a difference. 4 would even be more than
Right.
he's had currently.
Correct.
But you would be willing to do 6 weeks if that's what the judge thought was in the best interest. Do you think it's important she gets back to you in time for school to start and get?
Absolutely. I think no matter who the PRP is, I think that she should have a week there so that she can transition into summer, and she should have a week getting back so that she can have a week transitioning back into school.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Recall.
Are you willing to pay for that?
The weekend out.
In the weekend that you're asking Mr. Smith to exercise in Alabama, would you be willing to pay for that, or at least to reduce his child support obligation if that's what the court orders? And obviously, I'm not asking for that to be ordered, but if that's what the court orders, would you be willing to reduce his child support obligation to cover those costs?
I mean, I think that
I mean, first, if you would answer yes or no. Okay, because you understand you have the flight, right? So let's just presume it's a $250 flight, right? And then you have lodging for 2 nights at least, right? Friday and Saturday. And what's your average like Holiday Inn Express or Hampton Inn? Do you know?
100 a night.
Okay, so now we're talking 400, we're up to 650. Plus your food out, because you can't cook very, very well at a Hampton Inn. I guess you can have breakfast, but you're eating out, right? So, I mean, you're spending $1,000 real quickly. Would you agree?
Sure. And I would do the same thing. Like, I wouldn't expect him to, like, if the PRP is changed and
Sure.
I did that, like, I would be willing. I wouldn't even, I don't know, like, it's just what something I was thinking about. I would just make it happen.
Well, do you think it would be appropriate that whoever is making those trips or paying those costs, that there be a reduction in child support to help assist with those costs?
Sure.
And then I'm a bit confused because throughout this hearing, you've testified that you're willing to keep the plan the same and make the drives. And then are you also asking the court to adopt your plan? I mean, are you offering both? I guess is what I'm asking.
Say that I'm confused by your.
Well, you've said you're willing to keep things the same, meaning drop off at Priceville and every other weekend, Friday through Sunday. Is that what you want, or are you asking the court to adopt this plan?
That was when I was trying to stay out of
Okay.
court,
Okay,
when I offered those.
okay,
things.
I understand. I just wanted to be clear. That's all.
Anything else? Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. You have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
You have any rebuttal proof? And I'll hear you in argument. Do I have a say in that?
Yes, Your Honor.
No, this is a case that exemplifies why some judges retire and About practicing, Joe Birch, who I replaced, said that if he didn't have to handle domestic relations cases and custody cases, he would have probably hung around. Luckily for me, he didn't hang around, so I replaced him. But these are never easy decisions. There are statutory factors and matters that the law requires me to consider in making a decision. So I'm going to take a recess and take as long as I need to try to formulate what I'm going to do. I have thought about this case all night long. It kept me awake a good deal of the night because of the fact that I have a 7-year-old child who loves her mother and loves her father. And her father wants to have a role in the child's life. Her mother feels like that she has provided for her child and wants to be able to move with her new husband. So balancing those conflicting, and the fact of the matter is, to grant her what she wants is going to reduce the father's role. I mean, she says she has, I think, an unrealistic view of what that would involve, but statutorily, I have to consider the factors in looking at it. So, like a recess, I'll see what I can come up with, and I'll be back when I know the answer. All right. I will make the following finding of fact. These parties were divorced by an order entered in a parenting plan adopted by this court in May of 2023, which has been pointed out, designates them as joint primary residential parents only if by agreement, and they did agree. And there's a provision that says child must reside equal amount of time with both parents. And it says that there's another provision, but in any event, clearly it was designated that they would be primary residential parents, even though they were not living in the same area. It also then set out the provisions for the time for the mother having responsibility of the child from Friday at 6 until, other than the father's time, which was alternate weekends, Friday at 6 to Sunday at 1 p.m. And it went on to talk about the vacations that would have and the sharing of winter and Christmas, spring vacation, summer vacation. Father was given 2 weeks in the summer in conjunction with the normal scheduled weekends, which was agreed upon by the parties. They would exchange them at the Raceway in Priceville, Alabama. And it was clearly indicated that she would live in the state of Alabama. It was also indicated that that's where they would meet, would be at Priceville. Set the child support and so forth based on respective income, his income and her income, which was at that time $5,013 per month, and his income was $8,704. And then on the page 8 of that, under the parental relocation statute, notice the handwritten entry was the parties agree and understand that the mother and child will reside in the state of Alabama. So at this point in time, we're considering a petition to modify the prior order of the court. On a petition to modify the custody, that the essential basis for that is that the parties understood the mother and child would reside in the state of Alabama. And while it didn't define a location, it was pointed out that the mother was residing in Alexander City, Alabama, since the entry of the parenting plan, that her current address was 296 driving miles, that the meeting place was 150 miles from the father's home, and that the child was traveling back and forth under that circumstances, and that the father has been able to exercise his parenting time and so forth. And then the basis for the change was that the mother had sent a notice regarding parental relocation and that she was going to be relocating to Alberta, Alabama, which is approximately twice the distance from the father's residence, and that the number of hours in the weekend, every other weekend of for the child would be inappropriate. It goes on to state that the minor child has extended family in Cheatham County. The mother's proposing to move the child from the extended family that she has in Alexandria, and that he opposed the relocation of the child, and it would only have a negative impact. Then that is the basis for the material change. Then, of course, the mother filed an answer in the county complaint in which she sought to have permission to relocate to the state or to the town in Alabama that she chose to live in. So in considering it, I have to consider what the factors are for 36.6.108 of the Tennessee Code, sets forth the parental relocation statute. And basically it says in determining, and I'm looking at the section that deals with the factors that the court has, if the petition is the opposition to relocation is filed, the court shall determine whether relocation is in the best interest of the minor child. And that's where I am in this case. I have to make that determination. So the following factors are what I have to consider. In determining whether the relocation is in the best interest of the minor child, the court shall consider the following factors. A, the nature, quality, and extent of involvement and duration of the child's relationship with the parent proposing to relocate and with the non-relocating parent, siblings, or other significant persons in the child's life. The court is of the opinion that both of these parents, and that's the difficult part for this case. I have a father who, to his credit, has been involved in his daughter's life. He's been going to Alabama for some of the school activities. He's been exercising his visitation. The only fault was two things that I would point out that were somewhat negative about the father. One of them is a lack of communication. The factors that I have, or the evidence that's been presented is that there are messages that the mother has sent to try to involve you or to offer additional time, and they're just not responding to it. And I understand that there are times when I don't want to respond to messages too. But the fact is that communication needs to improve no matter who has the child primarily. You two need to be able to speak to each other either in person. I understand this resentment that you might have for someone who said the dogs are fed and we are gone. I mean, that's not a good way to lead the situation, but that's done. You've got a new person in your life, and I'm impressed with her when she testified. She has a new person in her life, and I'll deal with that in a moment. The fact of the matter is that communication is one of the problems that I see that have existed thus far. The other is the allegation that you have some sort of pornographic addiction or addiction to porn. I don't find that there is evidence of that. I found that there's an objection to you viewing it, and you basically have said, well, yeah, sometimes I do, but I don't let my daughter hang out. What you do in your privacy is one thing, but exposing a child to anything like that would be completely inappropriate. So you need to make sure that that's not, no matter where this child lives, you need to make sure that that's not a major issue in your life, because children don't need to be around that sort of thing. You understand? But other than that, I find that both of them have a good relationship. I mean, there's evidence of how much this child thinks of her father and how attached she is to him, and these exhibits, the drawings that she's made over the years and sent to him. And it's a credit to you that your daughter loves you and that has that affection for you. And clearly she has the same affection for her mother. So where we are is that I found that the nature and quality and extent of involvement and duration of the child's relationship with both parents is equal. In other words, that the father has as good a relationship with his daughter as the mother has. The mother has more time with the daughter, but beyond that, and that she is more involved as a result of that and some of the educational things that go on. But I do find that both of these parents have an equal involvement and relationship with this child, both the attempted relocation relocating parent and Mr. Smith himself as the father. It says here other significant persons in the child's life. Mr. Smith's significant other, his present girlfriend, appeared in court and testified. The problem that I have in the situation that we're in right now is that the testimony is that Mrs. Smith, and I know it's not Mrs. Smith anymore, but Ms. Smith, the mother, has testified that she engaged in met a man online in a Christian dating service, and I'm not being critical of that per se, but that after 3 months of knowing this individual, she married him. And now because of that marriage, she wants to relocate to where he is. It would have been better to have brought him in to testify as a person, because I have to make decisions based on who this child is going to be around. And the fact that your husband failed to appear, failed to offer any testimony, failed to be here to support your request to move with him to this location is a factor that this court deems to be important and negative as to the significance of the move. The second factor is the age, developmental stage, needs of the child, and the likely impact of the relocation will have on the child's physical and educational and emotional development, taking into consideration any special needs of the child. This child is 7 years old. I don't have any indication that she's having any developmental needs, but this child does have a medical issue, ulcerative colitis, and has been under a doctor's care for many, many years. The testimony is that when the child was living in Alexandria, Alabama, that it was close to Birmingham and that there was a children's hospital in Birmingham. The father's home is close to probably the preeminent children's hospital in the South, Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. And as a result of that, the child, if with the father, has the advantage of being able to be located or be with treatment for this issue with Vanderbilt. And the mother, where she's now wanting to relocate, has testified herself that there is no children's hospital in that immediate area. So it would be taking the drive of several hours to try to get to Birmingham if in fact there was some major issue. So I found that the relocation does have a negative impact on the child's potential and medical situation. As far as emotional development, I don't necessarily find that there's any negative on the emotional development, except that obviously this child is closely associated with their father, and as a result, the alteration of the regular visitation he has would have necessarily a negative impact on the child's emotional makeup in this court's opinion. Educational, I have not been given any evidence to indicate that this child would have any advantages for education in the location that the mother wants to move to. That there is no evidence of any economic advantage other than the fact that the mother would be living with her new husband, and that he allegedly is able to provide for them without her having to work outside the home. But there's no other evidence beyond that of any educational, cultural, or emotional advantage to this child living in this new location. The feasibility of preserving the relationship between the non-relocating and the child through suitable visitation arrangements, considering the logistics and financial circumstances of the party. This is the biggest impediment to the court granting, in this court's opinion, granting this request to relocate, because we're talking about, number one, putting a 7-year-old child on a plane on a regular basis in this day and age is not a good idea. Having had some personal experience lately about a flight out of the place that I was located in when I took a vacation, and 7 hours later, I got home at 2 o'clock in the morning because there'd been delay after delay and cancellation after cancellation. All I have to do is watch the daily news to see hundreds of flights are canceled daily. And putting a child in a situation where that child has to be unescorted on a plane to go between whatever in Florida that it might be, Pensacola, Florida, and Nashville, Tennessee, or back and forth. It may happen occasionally, and I can understand it, but as a regular means of accomplishing regular visitation, that's unrealistic, and it's not in this child's best interest. So what do we have then? I mean, if the child is living in South Alabama, it's an 8 to 10 hour drive, and you're talking about the child, whether you two agree to meet halfway, this child is going to be in a car for twice as long as she has been, currently under the situation. Why? Only because the mother first relocated to Alexander City, Alabama, and then she wants to move to Alberta, and then later to Fairhope. So it's my opinion that preserving the relationship between the non-relocating parent is not feasible through the visitation arrangements. The mother says things don't have to change. You'll get the child to Princeton. Withdrawing a child from school in the afternoon on Friday to go meet the father is going to mean that child is going to have a negative impact in its educational development by having been removed from school half a day on Friday every other week. And that's just not something that this court finds is in this child's best interest. That's another issue that I have regarding that situation is, I haven't heard from your husband. I don't know anything about him other than what's been testified to. But the fact of the matter is that he apparently, if I understood correctly, was the one who went to the school and had the contact with the school. This is not his child. It's your child. Your child. And your new girlfriend, obviously, needs to be there to support you and can help take care of the child, and you two can have a relationship. But the decisions and things that need to be done primarily for this child are between the father and the mother. And the new husband, as the stepfather, needs to stay out of trying to tell what do things for this child other than be there to support. Being a step parent is a difficult role, trying to overstep and trying to realize your role. But it is concerning to this court that the new husband is the one who went to the school to try to get permission for that. I understand he's a teacher, but still, this is the mother's child and the father's child. There is no consideration of the child's preference because the child is not 12 years of age or older. And whether there's an established pattern of conduct of the relocating parent either to promote or thwart the relationship of the child, or doesn't find there's any effort to thwart the relationship of the child and the parent and the non-relocating parent. Whether the relocation of the child will enhance the general quality of life to both the relocating parent and the child, including but not limited to financial and emotional benefit or educational opportunities. And this is what I touched on earlier. The only thing that has been offered to me in the way of advantage is that she'd be living in a home, be a stay-at-home mom again, because her new husband would be able to financially support her. There is no other advantage that has been provided to me other than a church situation, which certainly is something I can understand, but there is no other financial or emotional benefit or educational opportunity that's been testified to in this hearing that would be to this child's advantage in relocating to Alberta or Fairhope, Alabama. The fact that the mother would be able to stay at home is an advantage for her, but that has to be weighed against the changes in the child's relationship with the father. The reason each parent for seeking or opposing the relocation. The reasons for the relocation, as I've stated, have to do with the fact that the mother has a new husband, a relatively new husband, and that it's her desire to relocate to where he is. And under the circumstances, the father opposes that relocation because it will essentially change how often he can see the child and whether or not he's able to continue to be actively involved in the child's life. The last factor is any other factor which is, of course, affects the best interest of the child. And my thought is this, that the evidence is that the agreement that these parties entered into for her to relocate to North Alabama because that's where her family was. So the child's extended family on the mother's side is located there. The child's extended family on the father's side is located in Pleasant View, Tennessee. And the present arrangement allows both of the children of the child to be involved in both extended families. While the mother has testified that her mother will soon retire and may plan to retire and may come down there and be more actively involved in the child's life. Moving to Fairhope or Alberta, Alabama is going to put hours of distance between this child. The father doesn't have extended family in that area. There's the only family they have is a church family. And therefore this move in this court's opinion would basically reduce the child's ability to be actively involved with the extended family on both sides. Again, the fact that I am of the opinion that the fathers or the new husbands failure to appear and in support of his wife and subject himself to the court's examination of him, of course, make decisions based on not just what is said in the spoken word, but also the observations that I make as to the credibility and the demeanor of the parties. This is a new relationship, very new. And we have a man who, the testimony is the new husband has been in the military for 19 years and withdrew from the military or exited the military a year before his 20-year full retirement. There's no explanation given for that. Why? As far as I know, he's got an honorable discharge because of that fact that he was, able to draw a pension from the VA. In addition to that, he's shown to be a pastor. Well, there are plenty of pastors around that I don't want my children around, and unfortunately, that does not qualify a person because I have great respect for people who devote their life to being a pastor or a preacher. But just saying that you're a pastor and even preaching does not mean that a person is a good influence on a child necessarily. So none of those factors that I've talked about, the credibility, the demeanor, being able to make an observation about a person, were afforded to this court regarding this new husband. And if I grant the request to relocate, it means that this child is going to be living primarily with this man and her mother and these other children. And that may be a great environment, but I don't have the evidence before me that that would be in this child's best interest. And as a result of that, and all of the factors that I have found, I found that this move is not in the best interest of this child. And as a result of that, under the statute, court says, it states that if the court finds that the relocation is not in the best interest of the minor child, the court shall deny the petition for approval of relocation, which I am doing. And then the court shall modify the permanent parenting plan as needed to account for the distance between the non-relocating parent and the relocating parent. And shall deny enter a modified parenting plan that shall become effective only if the parent proposing to relocate elects to do so, despite the court's decision denying the parent's petition for approval. What that simply means is that we have a constitutional right to travel between states and relocate anywhere we want to. It is the child that this court has jurisdiction over. Ms. Smith, or whatever your new married name is, you have an absolute right to relocate anywhere in Alabama or anywhere in the United States you want to do. If you choose to relocate, despite the fact that I found that the relocation is not in the best interest of the child, and pursuant to this statute, this court adopts the father's proposed parenting plan as being in the best interest of the minor child, and her visitation with the child, if she relocates to Fairhope or to Alberta, Alabama, then he will be the primary residential parent under that proposed parenting plan, and she'll have the visitation that's set forth in that proposed plan. It is this court's opinion that the father is also entitled to recover for his attorney's fees, and therefore, Ms. Salinas, you will submit your affidavit of attorney's fees, and I will consider that and make an appropriate ruling. That is the judgment of the court in this case, and that concludes our hearing. We stand adjourned.